What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of Get Bucked. I am your host, Ryan Anderson. I'm now joined by my co-host, Jackson Muniz. What's going on, Jackson?
Not much. Just had a great first day at Keeneland and ready to talk some more Keeneland with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jackson is out at Keeneland right now, enjoying the scenery, the track. It's got to be a special time out there. I'll be out there during the spring.
I was not prepared. I told Ryan I showed up 2 hours early, thinking it'd be empty like it is most days out here on the West Coast on a Thursday, and it was already packed. I could not believe it. And then by the time the races started, it was really packed. It was fun to experience for sure.
Horse racing is truly a different animal out on the Midwest and the East Coast, or the Mid-East and the West Coast, or East Coast, or whatever, however you want to describe it. Either way, welcome to episode 8. We're going to be going over the early pick 5 Saturday at Keeneland. You may have just seen my face on the HHH Racing podcast for Picks and Ponies with Howard Kravitz and Pete Visco. I'm back again. Eventually, you guys will get sick of me. And then, Jackson, you and I were on Pacific Horse Players, my other show on the HHH Racing channel. So, yeah, let's just talk some more horses. You know, we got a great card coming up on Saturday, Kiwi 2 Cup, which is going off race 8 on Saturday. And we're going over the early pick 5. Really start the day, build your bankroll, get it stacked up for the late pick 5. So I'm excited to go over that.
Let's do it.
All right. Race number 1 here. Let me, be a good host and share the past performances as one does. All right. Race number 1. This is race number 5. I'm all over the place already. No, I'm race number 1. All right.
You're prepared. I like it.
Refreshing. We got Jackson, you and I land on the same top pick in here. I'm 8.75. You are 8.411. This race, 6 furlongs claiming race, 20,000 with some conditions on it. We both landed on the number 8 Miss Jeopardy at 6-1 for trainer Coty Rosen, who has not really done much at Keeneland, so to speak. Ridden by Christian Torres. What got you on this horse?
Yeah, well, the fact that we both picked this horse kind of confirms my suspicions that she'll come. I think she's going to come down from the 6-1 on the morning line. I don't think she'll be this high. I think she could be favored. She's definitely going to be at least second choice, I think, because she's probably the safest bet in this race because she's pretty consistent with those, high 60s, low 70 buyers. She's got plenty of speed to be forward in the spot, and this is probably a slight drop in class, I would say. It's tough to say coming out of Canterbury, but she did run in good races at Churchill Downs in June. Already won at this level against non-winners of 2. This is non-winners of 3. So that was a slightly higher class level 3 back at Churchill Downs. And just she makes plenty of sense in here in a field that I didn't trust too much of anyone else, really.
Yeah, completely agree. The conditions here are non-winners of 3 or straight 3-year-olds. You can see this horse is a straight 3-year-old filly. So this horse does qualify for the conditions, even though this horse has 3 wins out of 7 starts. I agree with everything you said. Just the outside speed, good post draw here, good tactical speed. Definitely going to come down from that 6-1 morning line. Would be surprised if this horse is anywhere really above 9-2. I feel like 9-2, 4-1 might be kind of the price that we get. I'm no morning line maker, but that's just kind of my immediate hunch as I look. And then, the rest of our picks here, these last 4, we kind of differ in opinion, which is okay. That's the name of the game. I'll go with your second choice, 15-1, very wealthy. You see a lot of red on these time form paces. What drew you here?
Yeah, that was the first note I put, was continuously running in these red color-coded races, and she's fast. She's going to be forward. That's what she does, especially from this inside draw. I think she drew inside of pretty much the rest of the speeds in this spot. So she's got one way to go, and it's straight to the front. Gets in light here, 7-pound weight break with the bug rider in this spot. She's actually run pretty well at Keeneland. I know she's just 1 race in the money here out of 3 starts, but the other one was a good 4th, and the third one was she hopped at the start. So you can toss that one right out. Likes this track. I like that the figures continue to go up in her last 5 starts, really. So hopefully she keeps improving in here. She definitely needs to get faster to compete with the likes of the 7 and the 8, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah,
definitely going to use her somewhere on my pick 5s. Mostly going to use underneath and like exactas probably.
Yeah, definitely. I like that for sure. This is a race that is pretty wide open. all things considered. So definitely a place where you could find a bit of a price. My second choice was the number 7. That is Miss Easy. As I'm scrolling all over the place, this horse is dropping out of Allowance Company, so was protected, was not running for the tag. In for the tag of 20,000 today. Coming in from Thistledown and Belterra Park. I know that seems like a pretty big class hike. I like the last 2 buyers, though, leading up to this, going 70 and then 81 in an absolute tearaway romp, winning by over 10 lengths against Allowance Company, where they're all protected. So comes in here for the tag. I think this is just a reasonable spot for this horse. This horse has the ability to close from a hot pace, or close from a slow pace, rather, as you see the blue time form numbers. And I think you're going to get a decent amount of pace in this race. So that kind of drew me to the number 7. 3-1 seems like a fair enough price on this horse.
Yeah, I'm gonna use her in my pick 5 somewhere for sure.
Definitely pick 5. This seems like a spread race. As we go to your third choice, that is the number 5. This was my third choice. We'll go to your third choice, the number 11. That is Motown Mika, trained by Carlos Santamaria.
Yeah, another one that should be forward in this spot. Another horse that keeps running in those red color-coded fractions. So she's going to go to the front. I don't know if she's going to necessarily get the lead, but she'll be up there. She's on the outside, so she won't be getting any pressure. So she should be running pretty freely from an outside draw. Maybe this is just a timely claim for Santa Maria. Who knows? And I thought it was interesting that Jose Ortiz bothers to ride for these connections, who are only 1 for 59 on the year. So the fact that Ortiz bothers to ride here, I thought was a little intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. You'll notice the 1 win for this horse in the couple of recent starts here came last out at Churchill Downs. Gotta love coming off a win. Set a couple of pretty fast fractions, going 7 furlongs for that 16 non-2 level, going 22 and 3, and then 45 and 2, and 45.29 at that. So that's pretty fast. And then to hold on by a good, comfortable length and a half, that is definitely notable. Was the favorite in that race, dropping down off some races at Ellis Park, claimed out of Greg Foley. I like that horse. Definitely a horse I'm going to include on my pick 5. And then as we get to my third choice here, before we move on, I went with the number 5, Miss Saley. This horse has just kind of faced better in here and has competitive buyer speed figures, is a little bit tactical. You see, about 5 back in this allowance race, was able to kind of come from a little bit off the pace, has been able to kind of set the pace in some hot fractions, as you see in that maiden win at Gulfstream Park, went absolutely flying in 22 and 4, 45 and 2. So I like seeing that. And Maximus Mischief, I kind of like that breeding on top for sprinting on the dirt. Jose D'Angelo knows how to train a dirt sprinter. And I think you might get maybe a decent price just coming off those last 2 races. 52 buyer, 47 buyer, definitely not the strongest this horse is capable of. I think if this horse runs back to that 69 that she ran back in February, I think that gives her a pretty good shot. And then last thing to note, you see down at the bottom, has a bullet work 5 furlongs coming in, and another bullet 3 and 4 back. 3 furlongs for both of those. So this horse just feels ready coming off the layoff. Jose D'Angelo, 13%, $1.71 ROI off the bench. So that was enough to kind of steer me to this horse. Moving on to race number 2 as I throw our picks up. This is another good, deep, competitive race. Jackson, you and I picked this race a little bit different. We got the same horse in third, but I picked the race 5, 8, 10. You picked the race 3, 1, 10. This race is going 1 mile and a 16th. It's for straight 2-year-olds, boys or girls. I believe we're an entire field of colts in here. And we'll start with the colt that you have as your top choice. That is the number 3, Geometry. Is this horse going to just save ground and get the shortest way around? And was that a mathematical play, or how'd you land on this one?
That'd be a good play in my opinion. I hope he does that. I love these Jonathan Thomas horses second time out. This is what he does. He gives them a race. I don't care how great or how poorly they run, because next time out they're going to take a step forward. All the Kentucky Downs meet, especially early on, was speed and inside, and this horse was a complete opposite that day. So passed a few rivals, didn't do a whole lot of running. Obviously, you see there's a runaway winner in that spot. I believe that horse came back to get 3rd last week in a stakes race at Keeneland.
Yeah, Wesley Ward, Johnny V.
Yeah, so probably a pretty live race, I would have to imagine, even though he was well beaten. He's, like I said, he's going to take a step forward. the thing I like the most is he was only 5-1 in that spot. They thought he could run a little bit. He took some money, and he's worked out 5 times since then. I like that they've worked him pretty easily lately, 51 and 51. That tells me he's ready to go. They don't need to put any more fitness into him. They don't need to get any more speed out of him. Today's the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Jonathan Thomas has some sharp runners. I loved one of his in the last today at Keeneland. Ran a respectable, I believe, 4th. That was the number 10. I want to say Freedom Maker. It was a Jose Ortiz. First time blinkers for Jonathan Thomas. Second time routing. That was a single for me. Obviously went off at like 28-1. So that was a little high. Bit of a long shot in there, but ran a really respectable race and just kind of got swallowed up top of the stretch. But, that's a respectable race for a 28-1, and Jonathan Thomas knows how to train those turf routers. Twirling Candy out of a Lemon Drop Kid, Vanishing by Lemon Drop Kid. That definitely screams 2 turns on the turf, at least to me. So Augustin Stable, they also are pretty competitive in that sense. So I'll go on and touch on my number 1 pick. That is the number 5, Lawless Ways. Colt out of Without Parole for Cherie DeVoe, Jose Ortiz. First thing I want to note is the 42% hit rate at Keeneland with a 225 ROI, which makes you think, first of all, Jose definitely has first call for these mounts for Cherie, so he knows when they're live. He's probably working them in the mornings, or at least has a good amount of knowledge of this horse. And then second thing is I love these Without Parole 2-year-olds. I know maybe his sire stats haven't been the strongest, as we'll take a look at him right now. He's only 1 for 4 with the first time starters. Turf routes, he's 2 in the money out of 5. But if we look here, he's got Without Caution, who won on debut and then immediately stakes competition. We have Good Conduct. A lot of these are for Cherie DeVoe. Good Conduct, who just improved with, start over start, and is probably due up for another start here in the next couple of weeks after that second place finish. But 64 buyers, 65 buyers, 68 buyer on debut. And then you see another one for Cherie DeVoe serving time with a 53. But I think any of those kind of mid 60 buyers is going to put this horse pretty competitive. So I'm willing to play off that pattern here and just hope to get that 5 in the winner's circle as it scrolled away from me. Scat Daddy on the bottom. Scat Daddy's been pretty good producing on the turf. So going long, a bit of a concern, is Cherie DeVoe is only 8% from 50 starters. So makes you think this is probably a bigger colt, probably just has that longer stride, but something I'm willing to take a risk on because I think this is a pretty deep and competitive race, and I think that'll be evident by our pick 5 tickets. Probably a spread leg for us both, if I had to guess. Moving on to your second pick, Jackson. That's the number 1.
Hey, let's go to your pick because AC just blasted on it. It won't turn off.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Wow.
I'll touch on my second pick. That's the number 8 Governing Party for Chad Brown. Rodeo Creek Racing. Irad Ortiz is on board. You see the 51 buyer last out, first time on turf. Was red pace figures on the time form. Was definitely going faster than expected at that level. That's a 23 flat and sub 46 half mile. Florent Giroux on board. Kentucky Downs. That was the second week of racing at Kentucky Downs. Still pretty speed favoring. As you can see, that horse held on to still maintain that 1 length loss, but also was drawn out in post 10. Was bet down to about 5-1 that day. Just looked like the start on the grass is something this horse needed. Looks like second time out, going the more traditional route of the 2 turns on the grass is going to be beneficial. Obviously, I think that's a notable jockey upgrade. Irad Ortiz over Florent Giroux. No shot to flow there. You see they hit it 39% with just under a $2 ROI, that ROI being $1.99. And then, 7 for 18 for the trainer is incredible. And then, the runner-up finish of the debut, that's Clock Tower, posted the 78 buyer in the Kentucky Downs maiden special weight win, and that was what we touched on with my guy Jackson's number 1 pick with the 3 geometry. You see the common running line, or common opponent, rather. So that was enough Governing Party. I think, a bit of a chalky play. You're probably going to get 9-5 on this horse come post time. This is going to be your favorite if I had to guess. But that's a price I'd be willing to take here.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to take some money. It's Chad, it's Irad. And I just didn't think he had a super huge edge over any of these. So that's why I don't have him anywhere.
Yeah, very fair. As we go to your second pick here, that is the number 1 Paraclete, Graham Motion, who I love on the turf. Johnny Velasquez, obviously a Hall of Famer, coming off a race where there was no buyer presented, so that's a little tough to gauge. But what got you to pick this horse second?
Yeah, weird trip last time because he was sent out of there. He got forward, and then he's established lead, and then some long shot came out of nowhere and decided to just take off down the backside. And he wasn't a big fan of that, but he did settle eventually. He sat in second, and then another long shot came and kind of forced the issue again. So he went with that one. It cleared the field, opened up 2 lengths, and then just got a little tired late. So he made a couple moves in that spot, which I always think is a big plus, especially when the pace was pretty hot, which it was. If you see the red fractions there, I'm willing to give another chance in here. He's drawn really well on the inside. He can be forwardly placed. He can pass rivals. I believe the 3rd place finisher came back and got I think it says right there, got a 42 buyer, which isn't great, but he beat the horse by a few lengths. So these Grand Motion horses typically keep improving with racing anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that, especially when I think the top buyer coming in is like a 50 in this field. So doesn't need to improve very much at all to have a say in this spot. 8-1 is a pretty solid price, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point with the 50 buyer being the top in this field, that's kind of why I landed on the number 5. I wanted kind of the fresh face, horse that hasn't quite shown what he can do on debut. And then without paroles running respectable buyers in the mid to low 60s first time out, I think that's enough to win here. So I like your number 1 though. I like Paraclete. Graham Motion definitely knows how to train a winner. Graham Motion's had a good sample of runners already at Keeneland, and he's used Ruiz for most of them. So I think it is a good tell that Johnny V picks up this mount. I think that's a tell that maybe this horse has a lot of ability, or at least more than most of his other mounts, at least at this point. You see he has 1 win from 3 starters, and I believe he had 2 today, if I'm not mistaken. And then real quick, before we move on to race number 3, let's talk about our mutual third choice. Oh, that is the field. This one has the field high buyer of 60, and that is number 10 Executive for Bill Mott rather. What took you to this horse?
He's obvious in here, right? They've hit almost $1 million for him. Bill Mott's really good second time out, and the horse ran pretty well on debut. I mean, the pace wasn't flying; it was fair, and he came with a big run late, and he should move forward off of that. I just used him third because tough post, even though he's probably going to just go back to last, but he's going to be shorter price, and it's tough to win from way back there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think, combination of the outside draw. Bill Mott doesn't necessarily aim for Keeneland, at least to my record for the fall meet. He doesn't really send his best out here for debut. He typically sends a lot out to Saratoga over the summer. And then this is kind of just like the horses that may not have been ready in time. So this horse definitely had a lot of potential. They paid almost $1 million, as you noted, for Pin Oak Stud. Junior Alvarado gets the mount. An improvement off of that is definitely going to put him close, if not in the winner's circle, but being able to save ground from that 10 hole, going the mile and a 16th, you don't have a whole lot of room before that stretch comes up. So it's going to be interesting to see. And then last note on that number 10, the number 2 or the second place finisher, Authentic Gallop, I believe comes back to run in race number 5 today, as we get to that one a little later on. But before we go into race number 3, I do want to just say hello to everybody. Katie, constant person who is watching us, so I appreciate it. Yeah, more handicapping for me tonight. I'm never stopping. Never stopping. It's a good thing I'm not a 49ers or Seahawks fan, because that game's going on right now. I have no fantasy implications, no betting implications, so I'm just I'll tune in for the third, fourth quarter, and we'll see what goes on.
Hey, Katie, I was sending Ryan racing forms today, and he had to pretend like he didn't want them. He's like, stop sending them, and I just kept sending more and more and more.
Sent me Keeneland, and then sent Aqueduct, and then sent Woodbine, and then sent Indiana, and I was like, why are you sending Indiana? And then all of a sudden he sends early pick 5 carryover, and I was like, well, shit, all right. I mean, I guess we're rolling then. Real quick before we move on to race number 3, where we are going to have a prohibitive favorite, I do want to go over a couple of exciting announcements as we get close to Breeders' Cup. We are 3 weeks away, just about 3 weeks away. That is, as tomorrow's Friday. So 3 weeks from tomorrow, we got Juvenile Friday. we're going to have some awesome guests coming on. Expect, lots and lots of content coming out of this channel, whether it's Gallop Out, whether it's multiple episodes of Get Bucked, or over on Pacific Horse Players. But some guests we have lined up. We got Matt Dinnerman, race caller over at Monmouth Park and at Oaklawn. West Coast-based guy. He was obviously the announcer at Golden Gate when that was running. He's a great handicapper. I like to consider him a new friend of mine, so I'm excited to get him on with us as we're going to handicap some Breeders' Cup shows. We have PTF, or Peter Fornatale, from In the Money Media that Jackson knows pretty well. He's going to be joining us. I was only on one of the In the Money shows. Jackson is a writer for In the Money. So obviously an awesome guest that we're going to be able to have on here as we approach Breeders' Cup. And then for an East Coast show, Matthew DeSantis, Naira employee, guy I had on one of my earlier Gallop Out episodes where we were able to handicap a card over at Aqueduct. We'll talk some of the New York horses that are going to expect to ship over for the Breeders' Cup, whether that's juvenile, whether that's for the turf, for the classic, whatever it may be. We're going to touch on them all. Those dates and those guests will be announced, once we get those kind of nailed down. Obviously, we all have our different schedules. I got 4 more guests for you. However, we'll save those for a little bit later in the show. Don't want to give it all away too soon, but it's going to be fun. I got another big guest that's going to be returning most likely as we get closer to the Breeders' Cup. So we're going to move on to race number 3 right now. Race number 3, obviously I kind of teased it, the prohibitive favorite. We have a 6.5 furlong allowance, non-winners of one other than condition. We have, I believe it's 8 horses. Yes, 8 horses in the field. However, the prohibitive favorite, 4 to 5 on the morning line, second by a neck in the Prioress to Bright Work last time out. That is Too Sharp. Horse trained by Phil Bauer, owned by Rigney Racing, ridden by Junior Alvarado, romped second time out in the maiden special weight, came back and backed up that buyer pretty significantly, or pretty convincingly, with a 94 in the stake race, losing to Bright Work, who's an excellent, I believe, 3-year-old filly now for John Ortiz. Love that horse. We both landed on this horse on top. I'll let you speak about him. I speak about her because she is your only pick in this race.
Real quick, do you want to put the form back on?
Oh, yes, I do. That is what I'm missing. You don't need to see our faces. There we go.
Yeah. She's too sharp for these ones, right? She's just better. It's as simple as that. She's faster than him early. She's faster than him late. The only horse I really gave any serious consideration was the 5, but I don't know. Her 2 races were in the slop. The last one wasn't no good. And she has to get a lot faster too. She's Too Sharp is drawn outside of the other speed horses in here. I just think she's got a lot going for her. It would take a significant regression from her and a pretty significant step up from the others in this spot. The 1 is coming out of a perfect trip against maiden claimers and a slow pace, and then the 2 is doing that, and then the 1 is coming out of a Gulfstream race in August. Those races aren't that strong. The buyer didn't come back very good. She'll be very, very tough.
Yeah, can't agree more. This is the horse to beat, and honestly, I don't think anybody in this race, in this field, is going to beat her. I went with this 2 in second. That's Connive. The debut maiden 75, not super convincing, not the fastest pace. 23 and 46 at Churchill Downs, going the 7 furlongs on debut. Was the favorite, won easy. One for fun, go with by 7 3/4. I really just picked this horse second just because we don't really know what's in the tank. That debut effort was strong, so something where I'm not going to try and beat Too Sharp in the horizontal plays, but maybe I play a small vertical play against. Maybe I do something like that just to kind of spice things up, kind of key Too Sharp in underneath. But Connive is strong, and then my second choice was the number 6. Zadorsky. Again, Whit Beckwin trains tactical, but needs a big step up. Best run ever has come in the mud at Saratoga. Didn't even manage to win that one. St. Benedict's Prep did for Linda Rice. So Too Sharp is just exactly what her name is. Too sharp for this field. And you said as well. So Yeah, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on this race. I think Too Sharp is pretty hard to beat as long as she draws or as long as she runs on Saturday.
I'd be curious. Click on the last race. What did Brightwork come back to get? Because I know she ran last weekend and she got third, I believe. I'm just curious what the buyer.
Brightwork came back to run an 82.
Ooh, that is not great.
Not great.
Okay, that's a little bit of on Too Sharp if you're a hater.
Absolutely, absolutely a slight knock on Too Sharp.
And that he is getting a Lasix back today, I believe.
Yes,
she got the big 98 from.
That was another one. Zadorsky, the last time out or two back in the mud, that winner came back to win at the next level allowance. Regressed on the buyer by a point, so not necessarily the strongest, but did come back to win. You see, three others from that field also came back as we look at the buyer figures. One improved by 4 points. The third place managed to win next out and regressed by 18, and then last place went from 24 up to a 79 buyer. So nothing crazy in this race. Again, Too Sharp even on a beat effort I think is going to be just too good for these. So we'll keep it moving on to race number 4. We don't want to take up too much time from anybody because we know there's a lot of stuff going on this Thursday in terms of football. Race number 4, I picked the race 5-12-6. You picked the race 12-11-5. We'll start with you. We're going actually, I'll start with the conditions. 6 furlongs allowance starter condition for $20,000. Horses that have started for a $20,000 tag. We got 12 Alpine Thunders, your top pick. Take us through it.
Yeah, and on this horse in my notes, I wrote in all caps, does not like Parks because every time he goes to Parks, he has a significant regression, and every time he leaves that track, he goes back up to running those good, solid races. So he's probably pretty happy to get out of Pennsylvania. I'm sure that's the case in this spot, and I like the post position. He's drawn on the far outside where he's tactical enough where he's not going to be dead last, but he can tuck in that 4th or 5th spot and just go by the front runners if they go too fast in this race. I like that he beat the 10 horse. I believe that is Downtown Charlie Brown, who's one of your major contenders in here. He beat him on the square in a 3-horse field where you would think Downtown Charlie Brown, who had it all his own way up there, is 1-5 in the top of the stretch, and he got beat that day by this horse. Again, I just think he's going to get a good trip. He's got the right figures. He likes to win at this distance at the 6 furlong mark. Only concern I would have is this is a small one, is the IRAD tax that we talk about every now and then. I mean, maybe he'll come down from this 9-2 spot, but that's playing horizontal, so it's not a huge concern for me.
Yeah, definitely agree. The IRAD tax is real, but this is a horse that definitely loves this 6 furlong distance. Definitely wants to get out of Parks. Those 2 runs at Monmouth are fantastic, and then you look at the Parks form, and it's just questionable. That horse clearly did not love that track. You see, one was speed favoring in the last out, and then 4 back closing. Just didn't do a lick of running. Kind of ran against the bias in both of those. But either way, or race shape, not bias, but against the race shape. But Downtown Charlie Brown is the 10 horse in here, and that was why I didn't include the 10 horse on my ticket. Was Alpine Thunder just, as you said, beat him on the square. So that was enough for me to get rid of that horse, at least in the horizontals. I landed on the number 5. Yes, I'm a beast as my top pick in this race. I think this horse is speed to speed. Do I think this horse is going to hang on? I don't know, but I think this horse is going to be forward. I think this horse is going to be able to outrun a lot of these early, and I'm just hoping they can hold on late. Rohan Crichton, I believe, is the trainer, who is obviously really strong with sprint types, whether that's on synthetic or on the dirt. You see the July effort at Gulfstream Park 2 back. I'm tossing the last race in the slop. Clearly just did not like it. 2 back ran that 90 buyer on Lasix. Gets Christian Torres today, switching out of Luis Saez from the Churchill ride, but went pretty fast. Went sub 22 going 6 furlongs, went 44.3 for the half. So I like that. Again, I think this is just speed to speed. Was coming in having won 5 straight until he went on to the sloppy going. So I'm thinking just we kind of pick up right where we left off on that form. This horse likes to win. That's something I like in a field like this. So that was enough to get me to the 5 on top. I see you have the 5 in third, and then I have the 12 in second. We just talked about that 12 Alpine Thunder. We'll touch on the 6 right now, who I have in third, and then I'll let you touch on the number 11 before we move on to the closing leg of this pick 5. Number 6, Global Sensation, trained by Juan Cano, winner of his last 4 coming in here. Another winning type that I like. Second off the layoff, came back strong with a good 89 buyer, showing that he can still run to those previous races, even as a 5-year-old. Gets Jamie Torres in the saddle today. So, I think this horse can sit the right trip. You see he sat behind a fair pace the last 2. And, I think he can kind of get a similar setup today. I think those buyers make him competitive here. This is a tough field, really, when you look at it. These starter 20s come up pretty tough in Kentucky just because there are a lot of conditions that will allow horses to kind of fit into these spots. So, for that reason, I picked the 6 and 3rd. Another kind of spread race for me in the pick 5. I'm going, 3 deep. We'll get to that a little bit later. That was the number 6 Global Sensation.
I was just a little concerned with the 6 that, he's been running in these races with slower paces, and they've also been going longer. He's cut back a full furlong. There's going to be a much faster pace than he's been used to lately, and he's going to be further back than he's ever been probably in this spot. And at a short price, that's not something I want to take.
Definitely. Looking at that is a really great point that you make, Jackson. Looking at that, I was thinking it's going to be a similar running line to this, where he's about 4 lengths out of it, is at least what I'm hoping for, because he has some speed. The 22 and 1 going the 6.5 at Ellis, that's not terrible. So I'm thinking if he kind of mixes that with that 7 furlong effort, I think that kind of puts him about 4 lengths off, which wouldn't be terrible. But you do bring up a great point. That cutback of a furlong coming off that last effort is pretty significant. As we get to your second choice, that is Print Track, trained by Rudy Rodriguez, ridden by Flavian Pratt. That's something you have to like to see. What got you to this horse?
Always love seeing Pratt on my horses, especially when they're 10 to 1. That's always a good thing. Not the most consistent type in here, but when we're talking about a 10 to 1 shot, that doesn't bother me nearly as much. He's usually a better horse when he's on the lead. Most of his wins have come on the lead. I don't think he's going to get the lead in here, but I will say, when he hasn't gone the lead and he has run well, it's always been when he's pressed the pace from the outside, which is exactly what he's going to do in this spot. So he should get a good trip in here in a spot that he's comfortable in. His good races make him a major contender in here. You just don't know when those good races show up, especially for Rudy Rodriguez, who I don't remember him shipping out to Keeneland too often. He's one of those trainers where he's either really good or really bad, I feel like, and it's tough to know when he's doing something that he doesn't do very often. So definitely one I need to use, though. The horse just runs in the exact 20 out of 31 starts, 15 out of 18 at the distance. So one that makes plenty of sense in here. He's going to be all over my tickets.
Yeah, Rudy, definitely a hot and cold trainer. Excuse me, as I am tired. I've been talking horses all day. Rudy definitely. Sorry, what?
It's 7 o'clock.
I know, man. I'm tired though. Maybe it has something to do with what I'm drinking, but who's to say? So, Print Track, Rudy, definitely a hot and cold trainer, but does know how to get him in the winner's circle. This course does kind of have a little, in the last 4 off that layoff from April, kind of has like a bounce kind of pattern off those last 2. That being said, though, those are kind of hot paces in those kind of off 2, and lost to the same horse in Reddington. Doesn't face Reddington in here. Beat Downtown Charlie Brown on the square, which I like to see. If you're following that kind of bounce and, buff pattern, if you want to call it that, this horse is due for a good run. And I think an 87-ish buyer is going to make this horse really competitive. And you get a jockey upgrade with Pratt on board. And that is certainly something that can make a difference. No matter the distance, no matter the surface, Pratt knows where to get these horses.
Any other long shots you liked in here? Because I know you said you were pretty spready.
I was only 3 deep in here, so no, actually, I was not a super spread race for me. As we just kind of scroll through all of these, again, another competitive race, as we always get with Keeneland. Moving on to race number 5, last race, obviously in this early pick 5 sequence, we ended going 1 mile and a 16th again for straight 2-year-olds. I think we have another field of all boys, if I am correct. We got our picks up on the screen now. I picked the race 9-4-8. Jackson, you picked the race 1-8-6. We're going to start with your rail runner, Johnny's Rendezvous, for Phil Bauer, Rigney Racing, obviously, as he's the exclusive trainer for Rigney. Jaime Torres on board. What do you got?
Yeah, I love my turf horses drawn inside 2 turns. Obviously, we're going with it again. Both times he ran again these fast-paced races where he kind of was doing the dirty work and couldn't quite see it out. But I'm looking at this field, I don't see that much speed in here. I think he's going to be much slower pace this time, and he'll be able to save ground every inch of the way. I really like that debut actually, where at Saratoga where they went fast. Again, there was a runaway leader, and it's tough when you're the chaser, when you're going behind that runaway leader, because you kind of have to decide, do I go after him or do I wait for him to come back to me? And it's just a tough position to be in. Plus that race, it got completely flipped upside down. Everyone in the top 4 finished in the last 4 spots. So that was a really fast pace. Came back in Kentucky Downs, was actually favored that day. Didn't do that much running. Lost a horse that Noah Maher probably isn't a big fan of anymore, but it's obviously a horse is pretty talented. So yeah, I just think he's going to trip out in this spot, and he's got a big chance in here. He'll be my single in my pick 5 ticket.
Yeah, that's a nice single going on the rail with Johnny's Rendezvous. Again, some great points you made. Yeah, that first race, as you mentioned, yeah, everybody that was up forward, that was clearly a hot pace because everybody that was up in front kind of faded to the back coming out of there. So want to go to my top pick here as we'll go full screen so we just kind of get a better look at this. I went with the number 9. That's El Muhit, Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone. Obviously some top connections out at Keeneland, excuse me. We got Warfront on top. We got See the Stars mare on the bottom. Shadwell Farm owns and bred this horse. First time out. These are connections I like. Brendan Walsh definitely has Keeneland as his kind of premier meet, which kind of helped lead me to picking this horse on top. I want to real quick. We gotta throw out some comments. Noah Maher, my co-host on Pacific Horse Players, shout out Jackson for best camera angle yet worst filming job I've ever seen. Noah obviously out in Kentucky, so let's get it tomorrow and Saturday.
Hey man, I was worried about the 6 horse. I had a big contest going on. We had to worry about him.
There we go. Yeah, that's all very.
I have to do a better job tomorrow. I have to run that one back.
Yes, definitely you do. All very fair though. We got El Mahit here. They hit at 26% coming in. Tyler Gaffleone and Brendan Walsh do. They're going debut over a mile. They hit at Brendan Walsh hits at 13%, $1.67 ROI. I like this horse. I think Tyler Gaffleone is going to be able to get this horse the right trip. I think this horse is going to have enough. I love the steady work pattern coming in. It's about every 7 or 8 days, which shows me that this horse is sound and is ready coming in here. So those are all things I like to see. And as we kind of get into your second pick here, and my third, that is right to this horse's inside, my father's place, trained by Rusty Arnold. What drew you to this one? Because we both kind of ended up similar.
Yeah, similar goal I had earlier with another Ortiz rider. This one's Irad. He doesn't team up with George Arnold very often at all. In fact, this is only the second time he's done it in the last year or two. So that right away drew my attention. And the work tab is pretty good. It's several works in there, a lot of foundation, some pretty fast ones too. And although these connections are not good first time out for whatever reason, they are good first time out when they go long. They're 3 for 12, it's a 25% hit, high ROI. So again, I'm singling the one in here, but this is definitely one I'm going to use probably more underneath because he's going to be a good price in this spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even with the IRAD tax, you'll still get about 10-1 on this horse. Yeah. And I love the English Channel on top. That is long on turf, so I think some of that can translate into this horse first time out. I picked that horse third. We'll get into my second pick before we go to your third because you are singling in this, but Nats Maui Strong is a little teaser. Lucky Mischief, who trained by Dallas Stewart, ridden by Luis Saez here, has 2 really strong buyers. Clearly an improving 2-year-old, improving race over race. I think a step forward off that Kentucky Downs effort will yield a possibly likely win here. Drew well enough from the 4-hole that this horse can save some ground, tip out top of the stretch, and kind of power home. The breeding I'm not super sold on, which is what kind of ended, which is how I ended up picking this horse in third. It's been a long day. I'm sorry.
We're getting there.
But, we're close. But Lucky Mischief, I don't want to take a short price on this horse as my top pick. I think this is one where you can get a price as you are going with the 1 as your top choice. Morning line of 6-1, I believe, and then I got the number 9, which is also in that 6-1, 8-1 range. I think 5-2 is just too low on this, but obviously those 2 buyers coming in do stand out amongst this field, so I think that does merit some respect. So this isn't a single for me on the pick 5 ticket, or a single leg, I should say. This horse will be included on mine. I like the last race, and I think an improvement off of that definitely puts this horse close. As we move to your third choice, again, you're singling, but I do want to hear your take on number 6, Maui Strong, West Point Thoroughbreds, Dale Roman, Vincent Chamonix.
Yeah, Dale Roman's is another one I just can never figure out. When he's short price, I usually just toss him. When he's a long shot, I think about it long and hard because you just never know with his horses. But I do know he's not great first time out, so you can probably toss that last effort. But he did show enough. He showed a lot of speed in that race. He showed some speed. He was kind of wide on the turn, and he kind of faded in the stretch. So that kind of just made me think that was just a prep race, especially looking at the pedigrees. Kitten's Joy out of a Giants Causeway mare. That's all turf route in this spot. And they paid a lot of money for him, so I'm not going to be surprised if he takes a step forward in here. He should be forwardly placed, gets a good turf jockey on him.
Yeah, without a doubt. Dale Romans definitely kind of races them into shape, so something you can keep an eye out for, as that second time out should get a decent step forward here. Going from Jose Gomez to Vincent Chaminade. Vincent is a pretty underrated turf rider, in my opinion. No disrespect to Jose Gomez, but Vincent does some really good work at Colonial, where he rides on occasion, does some good riding at Churchill. Basically anywhere he gets a mount, he is a threat to spring an upset. Particularly, I'm blanking on the track right now, but
Colonial.
It is Colonial. Okay.
Well
some reason I wanted to say Laurel, but
he rides there too, I think.
He does. Those are the first 5. We'll get to our pick 5 tickets in just a second. I do want to announce the rest of these guests that we're going to have coming up, though, because I am very excited. Again, some of these are going to be on Get Bucked with me and Jackson, maybe 1 or 2. Maybe on Pacific Horse Players, kind of TBD, but these are guests that we're going to have coming up for the Breeders' Cup shows. Another guest I mentioned earlier, we have PTF, that's Pina Fortitail from In the Money Media. We have Matt Dinnerman, racetrack announcer and handicapper. We have Matthew DeSantis, who works for Naira, a very sharp guy, has some great insight with those Naira 2-year-olds, and we'll be talking to him with the New York Shippers. And then next up, we have Shane O'Neill, nephew of Doug O'Neill, the trainer, but he's a really sharp handicapper, really has a good eye for these horses, kind of has some good insight. So I'm excited to, get him on with us and talk some Breeders' Cup, especially for the West Coast, because they have a good one in Raging Torrent. So I want to see how he's doing leading up.
I got to ask him about the San Diego Derby winner, too. Rank was the San Diego Derby winner.
Yes, got to ask him about Rank.
Stretch him out.
Yep, absolutely. He gave us a good smile on that one. Another announcement for a special guest is Jason Avila, works up at Santa Anita with me, and he's a great guy, really sharp handicapper, loves playing in some tournaments. So I'm excited to get him on, talk some ponies with him. And then my 2 big guests that I want to announce here, obviously number 1, our mutual friend Frank Scatoni, who was on with me earlier in the summer, was on with you both, was on with us both at the Del Mar seminar. Noah Maher, the host of Pacific Horse Players on the HHH Racing Channel, had him on for his best bet over the summer. So he's a big promotion guy for the younger generation in here, which I feel confident saying is us 3 at this moment in time. So that's always good, but I'm excited to get Frank on here. And then lastly, got to confirm the dates for all of these, but lastly, this will be a live show, obviously, but we're going to get Todd Schrupp back in here. We're going to do some live handicapping as we lead up to the Breeders' Cup. I'm really excited for that one. That was one of our biggest shows so far. Todd was more than gracious to give us or give me that amount of time that he did. It was like an hour 15, and then he ended up just taking a phone call because I only told him I was going like 40, 45 minutes max. But that was really nice of him.
Super nice.
So he wanted to come back on, do some handicapping. So obviously I'm happy to have him on. He's at Keeneland right now, so we'll get him on here in a couple weeks, I hope. But keep an eye out on my X. That's at 20 lengths clear. I'll be announcing, special guests for the week. That's all going to start next week as we kind of ramp up to Breeders' Cup, as we're under 3 weeks. So we're really going to get a better and better idea of who is coming over, who is ready, and I'm really excited to get into Breeders' Cup season.
Me too. Can't wait. It's coming up quick.
And to wrap up the show, we got our Pick 5 tickets on the screen. We went $50 budget now that we don't have a massive carryover. Speaking of which, that massive carryover, that was 2.4, almost 2.5 in the pool, paid $200. So that was not great. Quick math, that's what, 0.1% of
yeah,
something like that. That's
not
like
great.
that's not ideal. Pick 5 tickets are on the screen. I'm spreading in the first leg, going 6 deep, the 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, and 11. Second leg, I'm going the 5 and the 8, a little skinny there. I'm going to single 2 sharp, as I know my guy Jackson is as well. And then I'm going 5, 6, 12, going 3 deep. Those are my top 3 picks. And then ending with 4, 9. So, a $36 play, that's not terrible. I think it's doable here, and I don't want to play too much more than that, too much over the $50, just because I think with 2 sharp winning, you're not necessarily looking at a massive payout unless you really get some prices in there. Jackson, you want to go over your ticket?
You don't have my single, man. That's crazy.
No, I don't.
That's crazy. All right. We'll see. I was hoping we could both win, but it's close. All right. I think we're in the same boat. That first race, we're spready. If anyone has some really strong opinions, please let us know. I would love to include them because it's a tough race. Top pick in that one would be the 8, though. I'm going to use that one pretty heavily, I would think. Second leg, it was 1, 3, 10. And I'm also going to use a 6. I don't think I talked about the 6, but another horse that's, I believe, is stretching out with some speed. I'm not going to be surprised if that one does well. Rails were coming down this weekend, so that's something to watch out for. Not sure what I would think that means more forwardly plays, but who knows? Just keep an eye on that. We're all singling 2 sharp. She will not lose on Saturday. Just probably put someone else in the winner's circle with that comment, but who knows? She won't lose. The fourth race, we're going to go 2, 3, 5, 11, 12. Again, pretty spready in that spot. But that race, I feel pretty comfortable with the 5 I have, fitting the 2 favorites, the 2 more line favorites in there. And then I'm going to try to get home with that 1 horse in the last race. Just be forward, save some ground, see what we got left in the stretch, try to get us home.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. You give me shit for not using your single. You didn't use either of my top 2 picks in race 2. So, that's just going to be the way of life, I guess. One of us will be right.
I'll throw it, man. It's a spread race.
Yeah, one of us will be right. Obviously, we did the $50 budget just to kind of get the average horse player to be able to play the ticket. Play whatever you're comfortable playing. But, yeah, those are our Pick 5 tickets. This was the early Pick 5 from Keeneland on Saturday, along with the special guests. Just to go over them one more time, that's PTF. That's Peanut Four and a Tail from In the Money Media. We got Matt Dinnerman. We got Matthew DeSantis. We got Shane O'Neill. We got Jason Avila. We got Todd Schrupp. And we got Frank Scatoni. Those are an excellent and A-plus lineup of guests coming forward to do some handicapping with us as we really ramp up towards Breeders' Cup season, as you and I will both be out there for both days. I hope to see you out there. I will certainly be out there. But yeah, until next time, this has been the show. Yeah, sorry, go Jackson.
I'll be out there after I win this BCBC seat tomorrow.
There we go. You got 2 entries.
If you're still watching, there's still time to withdraw your money for tomorrow. Still time, man. There's still time.
There we go. Good luck in your tournament tomorrow. Any parting words other than you just being very confident, which I like to see with your tournament plays for tomorrow.
No, this was fun. Glad you always have me, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Until next time, this has been Ryan Anderson with my co-host, Jackson Muniz. Quick comment from Noah Maher. Be there or be square. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you for the next episode of Get Bucked. Have a good night.